Welcome to Series 2, Episode 14. I speak with Emma Cartmell, CEO of CHS Group UK. We talk about being positive whilst your business is snoozed, how Emma has learnt to navigate business through her own journey, the highs for CHS Leeds and growth through Birmingham. Her biggest tip, don't be the smartest person in the room. Thanks for being a fab listener and don't forget to subscribe. Welcome to the Johnny Ross audio experience. I'm Johnny Ross, founder and digital marketing strategist of Fleek Marketing. Each podcast I'll be bringing you an expert to inspire you, to give you some great business growth takeaways, and to get you thinking about marketing and the bigger picture of how businesses can improve, adapt and grow. I look forward to sharing this with you on each podcast, so here we go. Hi, and welcome to another live Q&A. Today, I've got Emma Cartmell, CEO of the CHS Group in the UK. How are you, Emma?
I'm really good, thank you. Yes, how are you?
Yes, I'm good as well, thank you. You're joining us from the Canary Islands today. You're in Fuerteventura, is that right?
I am, yes, spending the winter out here.
Making the most of lockdown too, I believe.
Yes, just was determined to end this year on a high and avoid the British lockdown or the England lockdown. Yeah.
I think that's a very good idea. I want to, I've known you for a long time. In fact, you asked me to speak at one of your conferences many years ago. I think it was at Leeds United, and we've seen each other, Ellen Road, should I say? We've seen each other many times since. But I want to get to know a bit more about Emma today. And how you got into this event industry, and also where you get what you're currently doing as well. So I wanted to rewind massively, if that's all right. And because you started out in energy, is that right?
Yeah. So I left school at 16, and I was a completely different person. I was kind of a real kind of swot at school and very, very studious and what have you. But I don't know if it was just because of kind of being brought up in that Thatcher's 80s. I was a very fearful 16-year-old of kind of believing all, the news that was around me and what have you. So all you saw was kind of the miners' strikes and all that kind of thing. So whilst I was planning on going off to college and possibly university, I applied for a job just because we were doing it at school. You could apply for jobs, and I kind of thought, oh, well, I'm not... I'm going to college, but I'll apply. Went through quite a rigorous process and then got offered a traineeship with Northern Electric. And whilst it was a brilliant 9-year career there, I did it out of fear. I did it because I thought I could go to college, spend 2 years at college and never, ever get a job for the rest of my life. And I would here at 80 years old, kind of still, trying to get a job. So I accepted the job just because at least it was a job. And so all the wrong reasons, but it's part of the journey, part of the story. So yeah. What
was the role that you were doing there?
So first off, it was a traineeship. So you kind of went around all different roles. So I went into sales and marketing, and they kept me out of accounts, but sort of all the different kind of customer service and all that, just various different roles. Then I got really into sales. So if people are old enough to remember, when Black launched Economy 7 heating 30 years ago, I worked in the sales department then. So we were kind of fielding all the inquiries for the Economy 7 and what have you, I was kind of a sales administrator, really managing all the sales guys going out and selling Economy 7 heating. And then I went into a department that's called restoration, but it was all about when there's faults and people lose their power and then ring in and complain and try and claim for having a whole cow in their fridge freezer and saying, I want compensation. And that was quite a technical role, kind of finding the fault, finding out what happened, putting that into layman's terms, to writing to customers and telling them how they can claim for compensation and what have you, or not, as the case may be. And managing, comms between kind of the technical teams and customers.
Just to remind everyone, if you're watching, we're live on Facebook, LinkedIn and YouTube. If you're watching on replay, maybe just put hashtag replay in the comments. Also, if you're listening, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for listening. Please don't forget to subscribe. Just to say that if you are with us live, you can comment as well. Julie Phillips says hello to both of us, which is very kind. Thank you. And if you've got any questions for Emma throughout, please do ask questions. My understanding is that and sorry, Emma, one of the things that we're going to very much focus on and talk about is positivity. There's no hiding it. You are in the events industry, and you're going through a huge doom and gloom and horrific time with this chaos. But you're taking a very positive attitude, and we're gonna talk more about that. But before we get to that, if that's all right, so you're in the energy industry. You were exhibiting for them, and you saw an opportunity.
Yeah. So, and in fact, Informa was the company that organised still do energy conferences, and we exhibited. So I kind of knew what I'd paid to exhibit it, and I had negotiated a good price with them and what have you. So I sat at the back of this conference, and I knew what everyone had paid to be there. I knew what I'd paid to exhibit and what other people had paid, and I was just kind of doing the sums and thinking, really easy. Must be really easy to make money this way, because they're making shitloads of money doing this, which they were. And then I think beyond there, I saw that the guy that it was back then, Informa was privately owned. It's now probably one of the world's biggest event management companies. And I was reading the Sunday Times rich list, and he was on the rich list. And I just thought, somebody who organises events for a living is on the Sunday Times rich list. And just as a side issue, was it yesterday that there was an announcement about the vaccines? Informa's share price went up by 27% as a result of that announcement. Yeah,
Did it really?
So anything like that, all these good news things that do have an impact on our industry, in real terms. But so then I had the opportunity for voluntary redundancy, which means I got a bit of a payout, enough to kind of live for a year, very meagre earnings, but I could survive, if you like. So I took my payout, set up a company and ran it for 9 years. And in fact, Julie Phillips, she will come into the conversation, I'm sure, who's just said hi. She was one of my biggest clients, actually. For those in the Northeast who remember Codeworks and Thinking Digital conferences and what have you, we helped organise a few of their events for them. So Julie and I go back all that time as well.
So you started. So you were doing event organising, and things were going well. But then a few years later, there was some big losses with big clients. There was another pandemic.
People probably remember 2008. I can't want to say SARS, but I don't think it was SARS. But there was something. It wasn't as big as this, obviously, because I don't think we've ever experienced anything like this from a pandemic. But we had a couple of big NHS conferences, and they were cancelled because of whatever the pandemic was at that time. It was never as bad as what it was imagined, but they just couldn't risk having lots of NHS people in one room at one time. A, because of contamination, but B, because if it did all kind of kick off and they had to get back to the hospitals. So we had that big event cancelled and a couple of other big events. And I just had too much kind of personal money invested in the business. We were looking at facing big losses. And I don't for 1 minute want to, it was 2008. So there was a kind of a big crash that time anyway, but I wouldn't blame it on that. I would say that was down to my, I suppose, lack of experience really in running a business. I was, the event organising was great, but I've always had a mentor, but I probably wasn't surrounding myself with sufficient business owners to get the skills that I needed. It was my first business I started when I was 25, approaching 26. I kind of look back now and call it my practice business, or my baby that I kind of clung on to for too long. So yeah, 2008, the business went under, and 2009 I had to declare myself bankrupt and lost everything, the house, the car, like I had clothes I stood up in. I was married at the time, and John was actually part of the business as well. So yeah, we both went to live. His mum took us in, and we went to live with her for a while to get back on our feet.
Wow.
And even though it was personally devastating. It was a good. It actually probably propelled me further in terms of my ultimate goals in life, because we're very lucky in this country that we have those laws available to us, because in some countries we don't. And it enabled me to move on and create wealth elsewhere and employ people and all the things that's what those laws are there for.
Well, I mean, yeah, it must have been an extremely tough time. And I was going to say that when you start a business, no one sort of gives you a book on how to do it. Although, having said that, we're going to get into this. There's a book that you are very, very passionate about. That's called Traction. Is that right?
Traction, yes, yeah.
And it's sort of where you've, as of today, very, very centre of what you're currently doing. But having said that, you can give someone a book, but it doesn't really tell them, it doesn't actually help them achieve it on their own. So I think going through what you went through, I can see how it's a massive learning curve, and it makes you think about the important parts. I can only assume.
I think it's kind of in business and in life. So I was sort of saying to you earlier that when you lose everything and you've got to rebuild your life, you don't put the crap back in. So I would say now I've very much lived my life on purpose. It's why I'm here now, a very conscious decision to be here, and the reasons why I'm here and what have you. So when you look at your life, you know what it's like to have nothing. So you want to make sure that you really focus on the good stuff and you value, because when you lose everything physical, you realize just how rich in life you are, because your friends are still your friends, your family is still your family. You still have the skills and experience that you have. You still have the connections and the contacts that you still have. People have this huge fear that you'll be, and there is still sort of negative connotations with it in this country, but for me, there's almost like a lot of envy. People going, "Oh my God, like I wish we could kind of move on like that and what have you." So you really rebuild your life on really solid ground of just knowing who you are, what you've got, who surrounds you. I did a lot of personal development at that time, just to kind of keep, which we've been talking about as well, is making sure I'm very big on, when you're going through a tough time, fill your brain with really positive thoughts, emotions, films, everything, and just as little as possible of all the negative stuff. So I spent a lot of time in the kind of personal development world whilst I was rebuilding the business. And that business is CHS Group that we own. I own today. Obviously, we've had a tough year this year in the industry. We organise exhibitions. But yeah, we've built, with me and my team, a really good business on strong foundations. And it's a business that we all love, and we're missing it massively at the moment, because we just all love being in the business. We've all had to, find, well, obviously furlough's been a huge help, but we're still facing 6 months of a tough time in our industry. So we're all supporting each other, but we can't do that in the company that we've built.
When you built CHS Group, I think you've had this mantra: "Don't be the smartest person in the room," and that's about making sure that you've got experts to help you all the time. You achieved some huge successes with CHS. Just what would be the highlights of what would be the you'd look back at CHS and say, "God, that was a big thing for me."
Every year got better. With CHS, our main exhibition, for people who don't know, is called CHS Leeds. It's at the First Direct Arena. I mean, even just moving from venues, we were sat at the Royal Armouries, then we went to Elland Road, and moving to the First Direct Arena, just that was a big thing for us, because it enabled us to create the CHS Rocks marketing campaign that kind of talks about, like, do you rock the events world? Because we're in a music venue. So just creating and rebranding all that was, I think, I get excited about the planning and the creation of something than I do about the event delivery itself. So as much as I absolutely love that we deliver events, on the day, I kind of, it's not, I wouldn't go far and say I hate it, because it's what I do for a living, but I much prefer the create, so moving to First Direct Arena and having and really jumping up in size, it kind of doubled the size of the business in one year. And then last year, about this time last year, we launched CHS Birmingham. It was a new show, and that was really exciting. That was meant to take place a couple of weeks ago. It's now been postponed to April 2021, hopefully. And again, just all that, for me, it's all about building the network, getting the partners on board, taking everybody on the journey with you, getting the team excited so that it's not just another event that we're doing. It's, so we're creating things constantly. We've got huge plans going forward. They've obviously just all been put on hold for this year.
Yeah, I having been to the event at the First Direct Arena, I mean, it was a huge step up. It was brilliant, and it was lovely to see. And I absolutely loved your Rockstars campaign. I've always loved your marketing. It's always very integrated. It's very thought through. You like planning.
You actually, Johnny, at one point, yeah, I think we all came to a workshop to help because we had so many ideas. I remember they were getting crazy, and it was becoming a bit mimicky. Like, oh, should we have statues of singers? I was like, it's a marketing campaign. It's not a theme. It's about how we communicate with our audience and how we say to event organisers, we think you're rock stars. So yeah, I remember now you actually helped us. We came to you for a workshop and you helped us.
Yeah, it was prior to the Rockstars campaign, but it was all about the strategy and the planning, and it was great to see you wanting to put those steps in place to have a proper strategy, and that was that was testament to you to the way you talk and what you say, which is get the experts in. And let's get every piece correct, and I guess because of some of the learning that you went through. So the CHS Group, of course, right now it's that business is of course there but not running. It's snoozing.
We get the snooze whilst the pandemic,
I like.
Get out the way. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, we're still very much we're planning for next year. We're excited. We've got some great ideas for beyond 2021. I think it's just now a case of, it's been heartbreaking this year because it's everything that we tried to do. We've either organised it, cancelled it, reorganised it, cancelled it, and it's just been a year. So we sort of last month said, look, because so CHS Birmingham was cancelled for October before. So we cancelled it when we still had the 1st of October go date. So in theory, it could have still gone ahead. And we did that in collaboration with all of our clients and sponsors and our advisory board. And we rang every single one of them and said, how are you feeling about this? Because it's not looking good. And, pretty much everybody said, we'd feel better if you moved it next year. The venue were amazing in terms of saying, yeah, we'll move it to next year for you. So that was a big collective decision to move it. And then about a week or two later, the government announced that the 1st of October date was under review. Of course, it came and went, and we are where we are now. So we made a decision back in September, I think it was, or certainly very early October, to move everything into next year. We were going to try and do some small events, but we just thought, we can keep on banging our heads against the same brick wall. And what's that thing about insanity? It's kind of doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And it's kind of we're trying to do events, and events aren't happening, people. We're not doing them. And it will be probably Q2 next year before we can even start to think about events again. So whilst there's positive news on the horizon, we just thought we've got to think about different ways. And some people chose to go virtual, and hats off to them. Some people have just absolutely, using the word pivot is right, but taking things online. And we just didn't want to do that. We were like, we do live events. We want to commit to live. As much as this is great, I would much rather be in a studio with you right now, talking to you face to face. It's, and when you're doing a big exhibition, and there's all the things that happen at an exhibition, of all the kind of bumping into people. I tell a story quite a bit about a lady called Jan Denning, who we had Simon Rimmer from from Channel 4's Sunday
speak
for us. and she was a huge fan. And we arranged that she could ask one of the questions to him and what have you. And she made sure she sat right at the front of the stage. And she wanted a photo with him, but we had to get him out of the building because his train was leaving kind of 10 minutes after his speech. So we tried to kind of get him. And Jan kind of ran down one of the opposite aisles, faster than him, to get in front of him, jumped in front of him with a selfie camera and snapped a photo of them both. And like, you can't do that virtually. There's absolutely no way. And it was hilarious the way she kind of made a run for it. She was determined. She was getting that photo. And I tell that story all the time about that cannot happen virtually. She couldn't have met him and spoken to him and rubbed shoulders with him and, you know, attacked him almost kind of. We've chosen not to do that. We're committing to live and then focusing our energies elsewhere for the next however long. And new opportunities are coming. So who knows where we'll be.
Well, you're right. I think I was on stage directly before him, actually. And I did exactly the same. Got a quick selfie just before he went on. So I completely get it. You used a word earlier which made me think and reflect. You said unorganizing, and I've probably not considered how much work there is in unorganizing an event, and bearing in mind that there's no money coming in to do that. Has that been quite a job? Yeah,
it's been obviously financially a strain because you've got to pay people to do that work. You've still got to keep in touch with people. I mean, what's great about a lot of stuff now, obviously, is that we can schedule a certain amount of work going in, so I don't have to wait. You know, things like keeping in touch with people, our newsletters, and things like that. We can schedule. But yeah, there's a lot of work goes into, and it's not just organising unorganising like all your suppliers. It's negotiating with them to make sure, and some are more, you know, able to help than others, and it's organising all your payment plans with them when you've got no money coming in. But then it's also, you know, we have 200 customers, and we don't want to just cancel and leave them. We've got to take them on the journey with you. You've got to get them to believe that this is going to happen eventually, and to sort of stick with you and not pull out and to have faith in what you're doing. And that in itself is a huge job, especially when all of our customers majority of our customers are hotels, but they are all in the events industry as suppliers or hoteliers and venues. So most of them were furloughed. So we couldn't even speak to clients. So it's not just a case of picking up the phone and saying, here's where we're at. It's emailing, LinkedIn, picking up the phone, speaking to somebody else. And there's still a few clients that we've not been able to speak to, but we assume that they've seen trade press that it didn't go ahead kind of thing. So it was a huge challenge and a huge timely, and that's what I say a lot of people might not realise is it's not just a case of ringing the venue and saying, hey, can we move it? It's quite a feat.
We're going to get on to very shortly talking about the passion around the book, how you're currently helping other entrepreneurs, and the whole positivity part. Before we get on to that positivity part, I think the I want to talk about the negativity side first, which is, you know, there is a whole doom and you said earlier, we were having a quick conversation earlier, and you said, you know, of course we need to get across to the government how bad it is for the event industry, but and there is doom and gloom, but at the same time we need to, you know, look outside and help ourselves. That's what you're sort of you're saying. Even today there's still social media posts going out that are just, there's loads of negativity on them.
Yeah, and I don't want to be disrespectful to people because everyone's got their own journey, and there's some people who have been affected much more than us. So I don't want to be disrespectful. This is all about my approach to it. And I was very much aware. So during the first lockdown, we had half the team on furlough and half still working, kind of unorganising the events. So we didn't really get a lockdown in terms of, you know, when people were off, you know, people who were furloughed, God bless, you know, making cakes or learning new skills or learning a language or to play the piano. We were just so busy working. And kind of coming through that, it was almost kind of I had to stay positive for the team. I had to stay positive for our clients. I was doing lots of interviews where And then it kind of thinks, oh, hang on, I've been keeping this going for almost 8 months now, feels like a year, and just very aware and conscious that it could come and hit me. So I was and I was reading all the industry press and all the Facebook posts and LinkedIn, and it was just starting just to get me down a little bit. And don't get me wrong, I've not been positive the whole way through this. I've had my head down, and I've had, tears and tantrums quite a few times, and being picked back up again by colleagues and friends and what have you. But yeah, I was just very much aware that I can't keep reading all this stuff that's really negative, because it's going to pull me down with them, if you like. So I made a conscious effort to monitor and just really reduce. I've still got to keep connected because it's our industry. I want to know what industry friends are going through. I want to be part of the solution and part of the lobbying and such like. I sit on the board of the AEO, so there's a lot of lobbying that takes place there, and we're part of different groups. But I wanted to surround myself equally with lots of other stuff, just so that I wasn't being drawn into it and only spending my time in that what I thought was or felt was negative space. Hence what I'm doing now. But also I'm lucky, but not lucky enough, because I made a decision and paid for it. But I'm part of a mastermind group that's full of people from all different industries. So by making sure that I'm involved in that network means that I'm seeing some businesses absolutely thrive throughout this pandemic like they've never known before. Other companies, really growing massively and hitting some growth problems and what have you. So it's great to be part of that and being inspired by all that, and spending time with my business mentor, my business coach, two different people. And yeah, just making sure that I surround myself with all that kind of positive stuff and having a balanced view of what's going on in the world, because it's not all bad. There's a lot of bad going on around the pandemic, but it's not all it's not bad for everybody, should I say.
Did you just say that you've got a business mentor and a business coach, two different people?
Yes, my business mentor is like an industry mentor. So that's a guy called Paul Kennedy, who has been in the industry for forever and he used to work for a big exhibitions company. So he's kind of, if I need to know advice around the industry and what I need to do to sort of steps to take from a business perspective, very much bespoke to my business, he guides me and advises me in that sense, more like a non-exec director role. And then my business coach is part of a mastermind program. So we get together as a big group, or used to get together. We have been doing either online or groups of 30 whilst that's been allowed. And it's all about updating, increasing your business skills, networking and learning from other people. Then I get together every quarter with 8 other businesses. So the power of the mastermind is basically that everyone's, 8 people's brains are better than one. So if I've got a problem, I have to, and it's like at a board meeting. So I'm going to present my plans, my financials, and I get grilled as if they were all, investors, want to know if my financials are sound, want to know if my business ideas are sound, want to know that I'm not kind of getting too optimistic and think, that, because we thought we'd be winning events in October, and now it's like going to be Q2 next year probably. So just kind of sense checking all your plans and ideas and all that kind of thing. So it's invaluable anyway, but more so at the moment, having those people around me to keep me on track.
And what you're now doing is the same for other people. So just tell me about this book. Tell me about traction.
And you said something earlier. It's kind of, we can all read a book, but implementing it is different. And I'm guilty. I've read hundreds of business books. I can consume them. I just love them. I love to learn. But it's then how often do you implement something? But I was so taken by this book. It was somebody who I admire in business recommended it to me. And it's called Traction. And the premise of the book is that your company runs on a system, whether it's designed or not. You have a culture, whether you design it or not. And it's called the entrepreneurial operating system. So it's ideally for companies with less than 250 employees. So definitely the SME market. And it's all about, it goes to everything, kind of your vision and values and your culture, or through to your people, your processes, your data, and kind of ultimate, kind of all come together to have traction so that your business runs. And I was sat with my business coach. We were doing a team planning day and sort of to set the goals for the year. He said, what is it that you want from the year, Emma? I said, oh, if I could just have a business that ran like that book Traction, I'd be happy. He went, well, that's great, because there's actually a scoring in the book, so you can measure that. We can score ourselves now, set a target for a year's time, implement the book, and all the tools. There's dozens and dozens of different tools that help you with all aspects of your business. And we can, every quarter, we can measure progress and have a target for the following year. And so great, so we got the whole team on board. Everyone signed up to the vision. We had a 12-month vision in terms of where we wanted to be. Everyone loved all the tools in the book, and we kind of identified. So you score yourself on each tool, so between 1 and 5. So we're kind of looking where some of the quick wins were to get our score up, and some things that needed more work. And yeah, so Julie Phillips, who I mentioned earlier, she's been working for me for 7 or 8 years now, I think. I don't know if it's that. No, it can't be that long. 5 or 6 years, I think. She's now our Chief Operating Officer. She's the one that implemented it. And there's another book from the same series called Rocket Fuel that talks about you have a visionary and an integrator, and visionaries tend to not be good at actually making things happen. We've got all the big ideas. We speak a complete different language to most people. We're the ones that kind of, I'm the kind of person I get out of the shower and I've had 20 ideas, and 19 of them are probably really bad. One might work. So I've got Julia to go to, and then when we've got the idea, she can challenge me on it, get it into a plan, and then communicate it to the team. And that's kind of the real benefit of that, to relate that relationship of visionary can overwhelm the staff, that can overwhelm people with all their ideas. And it's like, we can't keep up with you, Emma. That's kind of what I was hearing all the time. So Julie kind of told them to back off, and she kind of runs the company, the team go to her, and that frees me up. So very much now how we like it is, I'm more paid to think, and she's paid to execute, and she executes all the plans with the team much more effectively than what I ever could. So within the mastermind, everyone kind of looks to us because we've really done it. We've followed the process. We measure ourselves. We do it. It's become part of our business. It's not something that we've just got done and then put to one side. That's like a tick box. We live and breathe it. So we've got clients now sort of coming to us and saying, can you help us? Can you come into our businesses and help us implement it as well? Because we see what it's done for you. And so things like, one of the benefits, I can take a month off work easily now, and I'll come back to the exact same business, if not better in some cases. But the places would fall apart when I'm not there. And that's one of the biggest benefits in the business runs. I know exactly where it is. I've got everything measured, and I can go off and not even worry about. I'm not saying I don't think about it or I don't check my emails. I do, but I can go off and here I am now for almost 3 months in the Canary Islands, and not that that business is trading as much, but we're all keeping in touch. We all know what we're doing. We're all
because there's clear processes, clear expectations, clear strategy, etc. Yeah. Well, with regard, what are some of the clients that you're working with now then?
So it's very early stages, but they're all different types of clients, so none of them in our industry. So it's people who, a lot of them who kind of is more, looking at either growing or they have been growing and it's kind of getting out of control. And that's what a lot of business owners find when they go through a growth. It's like, now I don't know what's going on. I can't keep, so before we did it, I had everybody reported into me. So I was spending all my time trying to kind of, speak to the team and answer all the questions and what have you. And it was like, sounds cool. It's not that nobody was thinking for themselves, but I was just too easy, too accessible to come to. It's like, no, actually, if we get this documented, we get this process, you have accountability, what you do contributes to the growth of the business. You can make decisions, within your role. If I'm not available, you could speak to somebody else and kind of go, yeah, we know what the goal is. Is this decision going to take us further towards that or further away from it? That's what Emma would do. She'd want us to go further towards the goal. We can just do that. And I'm not saying it's without, fault. There's times when somebody would make a decision and I would say, yeah, I probably wouldn't have made that decision, but here's why. But I'm glad you made a decision and not got into that habit of just coming to me for all the answers. So it helps build up their own skills of decision making and accountability and what have you, without me being the kind of firefighting constantly.
Is there a particular industry or sector that you can see that you'll be doing some work for, or that you've got that you're excited about or passionate about, or is it really just quite?
It's the implementation of the tools more than, so it doesn't matter what industry it is. It's actually seeing a business transform from. It's usually the owners that have got kind of a bit of burnout, or they're trying to do too much, or they know they should be doing all this stuff, but they're too busy either working in the business or so it's all even things like within EOS they call it like letting go of the vine, which is basically delegating. And I was struggling with that. And in fact, our first team meeting, my business coach was saying it's kind of like his boss sometimes. It's like a snake that swallowed a sofa, because none of us can get around this issue because the owner is a snake and they won't let go of it, but they haven't got time to do it because they're too busy dealing with all the team problems and what have you. So now my team will go, Emma, you're not going to do that. Give it to us. Let us do it. You go off and do what you do best. Let us do because we have this feeling that only us can do it, or it's quicker to do it ourselves, or we can't, it's too long to train somebody, or no one can do it as good as I can. And you've got to let go of all that stuff and actually bring your team on and get out, build them up and then get out of their way, basically.
Yeah. And I think a telltale sign is when you are finding that you're answering all the questions all day, every day. I can think of familiar experiences there, and it's not a good thing to be in.
Or wake up in the night thinking, "Oh my goodness, has that been done?" and actually not knowing if something's been done or not. Whereas now, with tools in place, go, "Yeah, I can see that's been done," but not even now. Because it's all about kind of how you have your meeting rhythms and things like that when things come up. So it's, and I kind of have confidence now that if it's not done, there's a reason why, and if there is a problem with it, they will have come to me, or they'll be solving the problem. I don't wonder if my team are doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, it makes sense. I want to talk more about the positivity side. You've tapped into your spiritual side, but also you described to me how you've been absorbing lots of Netflix, but only positive stuff. I mean, what a great idea! Tell me more about this.
Yeah, it's all around. So I've come out here to Canary Islands for a few months just to kind of really, I was joking, I said, I'm getting my lockdown now. So this is my chance to kind of learn new skills. And so I've started Spanish lessons, and so I'm just enjoying being here in the sun and what have you. So yeah, the TV is on Spanish. So I've only got Netflix really to watch. And I just wanted to make sure that everything that goes into my brain at the moment is really positive stuff. So I'm signing up to lots of webinars and things all around kind of goal setting. I'm a big believer in kind of law of the universe. So if people have watched the movie or read the book, The Secret, so I kind of doing a lot of stuff like that. So I watched a movie the other night called Joy, which is about a woman who was an inventor, had lots of people around her telling her that she couldn't do it, and her family invested in her, and that she failed, and the whole family just disowned her and made her go into bankruptcy. And it turns out that she was stronger than she thought. And I won't spoil the movie, but it's a brilliant ending, and it's kind of a really good, empowering story of how she absolutely, made her life and went for it with actually no support at all from her family, and built her own empire and what have you. So that was fantastic. And I've just finished binge watching the last couple of nights, The Queen's Gambit.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, and it's just in case people thinking it's not the Queen as in the royal Queen, it's Queen as in a chess piece, the Queen, and it's about a female world champion chess player. And again, that's just a really uplifting story and what have you. So it's just about staying positive really, and not getting drawn into the doom and gloom. And the more we hear positive things, like the news about the vaccine and treatments getting better and cases falling despite us having to go through a kind of a lockdown situation.
You're very into your walking and hiking as well, aren't you?
Yeah, so I did actually manage to escape September, when we could travel, and the corridor was put in with Italy, the travel corridor, which means we could so FCO advice was that we could travel to Italy. And I have a vision board that I do every year, and beginning of the year, this year, I'd put on a picture of Mount Etna, that I wanted to hike to the summit of Mount Etna. And then once COVID hit, and I was like, I'm getting there, I'm doing that. So as soon as that thing, I flew to Sicily and then hiked to the top of Mount Etna. I've got some great photos of me at the top of a volcano, and sat having a packed lunch at the foot of the volcano, chucking out rocks and steam and what have you.
Oh, wow.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely a kind of, and this is the whole thing I was saying before about, I like to think that I very much live life on purpose, and do, and I don't always know, like right now, I don't know what the event is going to look like for the next few years. I don't know what, so I'm just being very open-minded here. I'm going off hiking, not hiking actually, walking. I'm looking for a hiking route whilst I'm here to go, because there's some good hiking routes here. But yeah, I do a 2-hour walk every day, down by the beach and what have you, just to let it all, just enjoy being here and doing all my reading and, all the positivity stuff. Still working as well alongside that. I've not really stopped since I've been here. So there's not been much downtime apart from my 2 hours walking, but it's all very much designed. My routine, I kind of thought it through before I got here, what I wanted, because it's very easy to get to do something like this and come and get into holiday mode and going out every night and something every day, and then 3 months to be up and I've not achieved anything. So it's all part of a plan. It's not just about being here in the sun. It's being in a great place where I can get outdoors and take the time for me, really.
You said living life for a purpose, and I think that's a really great idea. And so how do you? It's around filling yourself full of positivity. What other tips would you give there on how to make sure you're doing things for a purpose?
So for me, a lot of it is starting off with just goal setting, just thinking about. So I've got a book that I read. I've got my little morning routine, and part of that routine is that I go through I've got my vision board at home, so I've got a photo of it whilst I'm out here, but just think about the life I want to lead. So, so it's got some parts of it, just like lists of goals of things I want. So the way to split it up is things that you want to be. So, who do you want to become in life, and who do you want to be for other people and for yourself? Things that you want to have, and it's perfectly okay to want to own, a new house or a new car or what have you, and things that you want to do. So that's kind of a lot of it that around is like sort of traveling for me, but it was also like doing my Spanish lessons and things like that. So I just check in with that every day to say, that's kind of living my life on purpose. Am I creating the life that I want to lead, and not just letting my days happen to me? And then I did journaling, which is just kind of writing down whatever comes into you head, and before long, if you keep doing it for long enough, your subconscious takes over and just starts kind of all scrolling for you. You're just still doing your own writing, but just kind of helping you sort of tap into your subconscious. Positive movies, positive Netflix series, positive reading, being around great. So on a fun side, there was me and 6 industry friends, all women, beginning lockdown, we're kind of going through a tough time at different times, and we all decided to come together every Wednesday on Zoom, and we've created Wednesday Wine Club, and it still happens now. Every Wednesday together at 5 p.m. for about an hour and a half, drink wine, and just we're there for just a support network. And we've all kind of had a meltdown at different times. Although we've all caught up on each other's news, there's been moments where we've just kind of focused on one person, because they've been through furlough, they've been through unemployment, I've been through my stuff, they've been through pivoting their own businesses, through, not being able to see as much of their children, and things like that. So we've all gone through different heartache, if you like, over this year, and so our Wednesday Wine Club is absolutely dear to us, and we just keep saying we can't wait to do it in person, but we're all over the world, Denmark, Spain, I'm here now, and then London, Wales. Yeah, so we're all over, and we just come together every week to support each other. So there's loads you can do if you want to stay positive.
I like it. It's been absolutely brilliant chatting to you. And I've really got to know the deeper Emma. Thank you. I've always loved everything you've done, especially with CHS, and I just have a feeling, like as you say, we've no idea what's going to happen with the event industry and how long it's going to take. But I just have a feeling that when things turn, you're going to be at the front doing some very clever stuff. I just have that feeling, and it's brilliant that you're going down this positivity route, and I love that you're doing this, having this purpose of being in Fuerteventura whilst you're going through lockdown too. So, yes. Emma, if I am a business owner that's read the book but isn't making it happen, and I wanted to speak to you, what's the best way to contact you?
So this new business is a partnership between myself and Julie, and I just find you on LinkedIn is probably the easiest thing. No, I think it's Emma at cartmell-philips.com is the email address, I think. If it's not, it's .co.uk. But these things, Emma Cartmell on LinkedIn is the easiest.
I was going to say, if you Google Emma Cartmell CHS, you'll definitely find.
Yeah.
And also for hotels and independent venues and event organizers, if you want to be part of whatever the events turn into, and you've not met Emma before, you should definitely be speaking to Emma. No question about that. Although I'm guessing you've probably met most hotels and independent venues.
And I'm a venue. As long as it can go ahead in April, we'll be the first one to happen next year in the country. So so if hotels do want to be part of the recovery, give me a shout.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Emma. If you've been listening, please do like or share or comment and subscribe so you don't miss out on future of these. Thanks again, and we will see you all soon. Take care. You've been listening to the Johnny Ross audio experience. Thanks so much for joining me. If you want to continue the conversation, head over to my website, fleek.marketing, or find me on LinkedIn. That's all for today. Please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, tag me in your social media posts, and please leave me a review on iTunes. It will make a huge difference for me. I will see you soon.